Welcome to the Hold to Talk podcast with your host, Juliet.
And Abby. And today we're talking about affording to move abroad, all the hidden costs that could come with it, the things that we certainly didn't think of, which we would assume then some other people may not think about when moving to both countries. So we've both had totally different experiences, which is what we were just talking about when it comes to moving abroad and the costs of that. Obviously, Juliet moving to the States has been a bigger cost, but it's all relative. And me moving to Portugal has been cheaper because things tend to be a lot cheaper here in Portugal. Let's start at how we moved. We both owned homes when we moved abroad. I decided I didn't want to buy yet because I just wanted to move and then see how I felt about it. Did I really enjoy it there? Did I want to stay? So I rented my house out in the UK, used the money that I rented it out to rent when I first came over here. So my decision was, for furniture wise, we just sold everything that we had. We rented our house out unfurnished. So we didn't get a container, which a lot of our friends here did do. We sold it all and then thought we would just be better to start again over there. What did you do?
So we also, we had a house full of furniture, and we sold some and we brought some. By some, I mean we bought some like bedside tables. I'm trying to think what else we actually bought. That was anything. We bought some of our cutlery and we bought some of our crockery, just because those things you don't realize that end up costing you a lot of money just to like replace them. And just a bit of background on why we bought some of this is we actually had a container given to us by Ollie's work. So Ollie's work sponsored us to come here, and then they said they'll pay for one X amount size container. So we couldn't necessarily bring our beds and our sofa and stuff like that, which I wouldn't have wanted to do anyway, because you're moving furniture that's used to being in a house into a small apartment, because I'm moving to a city, so that does not going to necessarily going to fit into my apartment size. So we did what Abby did. We sold a lot of our stuff, but we bought over some small stuff just to help us with some of the costings of that in this container. And so we also bought like things like some bed linen, some duvets. Like I had a lovely duvet, just things like that we put in the container just because they do cost a lot. And especially if you invested in a really nice one.
I think if I had a container offered, I probably would have packed some of my nicer furniture to bring. It just seemed to us like none of our furniture was like,
yeah, what the £15 table that you bought from, what was it? The one that was like on Groupon table. The dining table that everyone took the piss out of you for. It was like £10 from Groupon that Mike made.
No, you got a table from Groupon that was wooden. Well, it's not beyond Mike to buy a table
It
from
happened. I have to
I
find
can't remember it. In the UK, you bought a wood. No, I know. She's talking about the desk, the horrific desk. That it was a desk that you screwed onto the wall. Like we thought it was great because we only had one. It was a smallish house in the UK. So it was like one lounge and then we just had like a kitchen. And obviously we have 3 kids and a big dog. So we needed to, and we work from home. So it actually in theory made a lot of sense. But when we received it, it was terrible. It was the one that pushed up, didn't it? And clipped into the wall.
I don't know what it was. It was just not good.
It broke from the minute we put it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. Yeah, so there wasn't really any furniture that we felt. But what we did was buy lots of suitcases. So we flew with a Ryanair and then we just bought loads of 20-kilo suitcases that we could shove stuff in. It was actually really refreshing to strip back all the crap you don't need. I was shocked at how much stuff I was like, I'm a bit of a hoarder, to be honest. And it was so unnecessary. I had like so many kids' clothes because I would get hand-me-downs from my older sister, keep the stuff that Harrison had as well, even if it was like it. And then, just strip back and like only bring what we need.
Yeah, it was nice. I remember I actually made quite a lot of money on Vinted. I sold loads of my clothes on Vinted and I made thousands.
Yeah, I did really well. And I went on Gumtree and I sold we had hilarious. So we really wanted a fireplace and we were in my Onga house.
But you have to tell people what Gumtree is. They're not going to know what Gumtree is.
Gumtree's like a place that Gumtree's like a you sell things on,
It's
isn't
like
it?
eBay, like a marketplace,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Is it
a lot of
British?
people sell, like I think it's I think a lot of people sell, like, furniture.
Had this awful electric fireplace that reminded me of Nana's. I actually managed to sell it. I don't know how we did that. We
'Cause there's
sold that
another nana on the other end wanting it, obviously.
young couple. I was like, "For real?" The only thing that is a bit concerning, because I mean, now you'd use Facebook Marketplace, I think, instead of Gumtree. You might I put it on everything, so I was like, "Just get rid." So, yeah, so that was good because then we had a little bit of extra cash from I think one of the costs that I didn't think about was then having to replace a lot of it for the first 3 years when we moved here, and a lot of them were furnished, so that was fine, but then we bought a house and we had nothing, like, nothing because we'd sold it all, and then that's a whole other cost that we
And
hadn't
also, like,
re
you sold it all and then you've obviously spent all that money, like, moving over. You haven't saved that for furniture. Like, we think that we're
Yes.
gonna do the right thing and we're gonna save all the money for furniture, but we're not, 'cause other things always come up.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Ollie and I were really lucky because we were getting moved over with a job. So a lot of the financials were covered for it, which, I'll be completely 100% transparent. I don't know if we would have been able to afford to move here without having that, because we would have had to sell. I think we would have had to sell our home so that we had the
Yeah.
free money to, buy everything, because there's so much to it. Like, we had 2 dogs. There was no way on earth that I was leaving my dogs behind. If I'm moving, they're always gonna be with me, and so that whole thing and expense of moving a dog is 1 dog, let alone 2 dogs. I think, like, I didn't pay for it because Ollie's company paid, thankfully, but you have to buy crates for them, so that's a whole expense. Like, they're quite expensive, like, these specific crates that are built for that size of a dog. So around I think I had a look online, it was around $4 to $5,000, like, to get your dogs moved
For the
over.
whole thing, like, for the move, for
For
the
them
flight.
to be for them so that's for Pet Air to
Okay. To
like,
transfer your
they
dog.
pick them up, they take them to the kennel, they stay overnight in the kennel, and then they go on the next flight the next morning. Obviously, this is not what this podcast is about, so I'm not even gonna go into it, but, like, that whole process, I will never do it again. That's probably one of the reasons why I will not be moving home to the UK, is I'm never moving.
You didn't think it was any good?
No, I can't handle the anxiety, like, putting dogs on a plane is cruel.
Yeah,
I
you
do
were really anxious.
Yeah, I think it's cruel, it's
Because they
horrible.
don't put them to like, they don't do anything with them, do they, to kinda make them a bit more lethargic?
Not allowed.
No.
You're not allowed. So they have to be like they have to raw dog it, basically, soldiers, and go on there without anyone. They're in the hold on their own. They're down in the depths of the plane. I just don't like it, so it won't be happening again. But my dogs actually, like, they came out and were fine, but it's me, it's my own thing that I don't.
Yeah. But one of my friends here, she had her dog the same size as Arthur, maybe slightly bigger, that was in Brazil, and they needed to move him over to Portugal, and they did it a slightly different way. Because they were on it was cheaper if they were on the flight with him, so they were able to get it f and I think in total, I think the crate was like 400, 500 euros, and then the flight was about 2,000 for the dog because they were on it.
Remember, you're flying.
They had to stop and change over, and there was so much paperwork with it. Did you have a lot of paperwork with your
We didn't have to do any of the paperwork, so that was part of the fee. That's why it's so expensive, because you can do it yourself or you can pay for a company to do all of it for you, and that's basically they did the whole thing. They picked them up, they took them there, they filled out the paperwork. We literally just waited on either end. Obviously, there's that cost that we didn't have to pay, thankfully, and we also didn't have to pay for our own flights over. We didn't have to pay for our own crate over. The crates are between $4 to $6,000 depending on the size and insurance and customs of it. And then the flights are an extra $1,000 plus on top of that per person, because you're flying from the UK to the US, because you need like 2 suitcases each minimum. I mean, we bought over, I think we had 6 suitcases, all paid for
you had to
by
pay extra? Oh, yeah, but they were extra. If you'd bought your ticket,
they'd
that'd
all
have
be
been an
extra.
extra. Yeah,
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 because we didn't go on like first class or anything.
yeah,
So, yeah, like, it's not really that part of it is really not cheap that we didn't have to pay. If you are paying for it and you're looking into these costings, reality is that's what you're gonna end up paying for that kind of
yeah.
thing.
I mean, obviously, the distance between UK and Portugal is so different to the US. So when it came to our dog, we looked into flying him, but actually it was so much better for us to have him driven, and there's companies out there that will drive your dog over. So we had him picked up. you can't just use the passport that you used to be able to use to transfer the dog out of the UK to France. It's like a whole thing. Just I was just speaking to Mike about it actually. It was only cost us about 600
Mm.
to transfer him, and it's 24 hours. So they literally get him in the car. I mean, it's not great. It's like a crate he's in, but they stop off in every country, and it's hilarious because they create this WhatsApp group and then they take pictures of him. So they're Hutch in France, Hutch, well, the like in the west of Spain, Hutch has arrived in Portugal. Although he was a little bit distressed by it just because he's in a crate for such a long time. I felt it was a nicer way than flying, certainly. But you didn't have that choice, obviously. It was a
No,
longer
no,
flight.
no.
Yeah. Um,
I guess that this is one of the reasons why we started the podcast in the first place, because I tried to find information out about how much it would cost for us to rent property here and stuff like that. And you can find it. Like, there are Facebook groups. They don't tell you the full story. They really don't, because it depends where they wanna live, and a lot of these people, I went on Facebook groups, and a lot of them were, like, families that wanted to live in the suburb. I couldn't
yeah.
actually find people that wanted to live in Boston, like, in the city, and so that cost is so different to a suburb, as you can imagine, and so we obviously, without going, like, into costings of, like, what we paid, in Boston, at the time, you had to pay first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit, and you had to pay a broker fee. It was like a Massachusetts law. Recently, that law has been taken away and they can't charge brokers fee anymore, but that was something
So,
that
like,
they
your estate agent would charge you for finding it
charged the person. So I would take on that, not the landlord. I would take on that cost.
because you were renting.
That would be part of
It's
my
like,
initial fees that I pay.
oh, it's the landlord that pays
I
for the
don't
cost.
I think they've taken it, yeah, I think they've
Yeah,
taken it.
because that's how it is in the UK, isn't it? Like, the landlord pays for all of that.
But what's happened with that is it's driven the rental prices up. But easily, if you wanna live, like, in Boston Central, depending on where you wanna live, that's all the cost of all of that is easily up to $20,000. You have to have that cash. Like, there you go.
Yeah, because even if let's say you're renting, I don't know what the prices are there. I mean, what would an example of like a 2-bed in Boston be?
It honestly depends on where in Boston, because there's very affluent places to live. Seaport, Charlestown, South End, Back Bay, like, these areas, like, for a 2-bed, 2-bath, you're looking at, like, between 5K a month up to, like, 7K a month.
And that's an apartment.
That's an
That's not a
apartment.
house.
That's an
That's not
apartment. It probably doesn't have a yard. It would be very
right.
nice, but, like, it's not
No,
gonna
it
be
doesn't have a yard.
doesn't
You
have a
need a garden.
yard. It doesn't. But, like, that it'd be very nice, whereas, like, you could maybe go to, like, South Boston maybe, and you might pay, like, 4.5.
Okay.
3.5 to 4.5, but you gotta remember, like, a lot of these, like, say if you live in Seaport, you get amenities. So you're in big managed building and you get
Yeah.
amenities or gym and stuff like that. So that's, like, a cost you don't then have to pay
Yeah.
externally. And
Yeah.
then you don't have to pay your water bills and stuff like that because that's all included in your whereas if you live, like, if you wanna live in South Boston, you then need a gym membership if you go to the gym, and you then need to pay all your bills, like water, everything.
Yeah. Externally.
So I think you have to
And I
work
guess
out
as
what's
well,
best for you.
that's what's really cool, I think, about the States. I know they have them in London now, and I'm sure they have them in most big cities, probably in Lisbon, but like these managed apartment blocks that have everything in it. It's like a lifestyle. It's not just your house, is it? It's like a whole a gym, a cinema room. Like it's all these, a rooftop and all those lovely things that
You
living in
get
a
great
city.
amenities if you like that
Yeah,
kind of living, but it is
yeah.
what I personally call it, like, a soulless living. It's like a hotel soulless living. It's not traditional Boston living. You don't feel like you're in Boston really, because you could be in any city in the world and live like that.
Yeah, you're so right as well. Like it is a bit hotel-like.
Mm,
It feels like a hotel when you go in and there's like a man sitting there and you're like, "Oh,
yeah.
good morning."
Mm. All your
It's really
packages are dealt
cool.
with. It's really
Yeah,
great, like, you do get what you pay for, I do believe that, like, you might have a pool in your building, but, like,
yeah.
I do think that at the same time, you're losing a little bit of, like, community. It depends on the building, but, like,
So
you
you're
lose a
not got
little
any.
bit. You can meet people in your building, but, like, I feel like when you're living in a South End or Back Bay, I think there's a more sense of, like, community, where Beacon Hill, there's a real Beacon Hill community, whereas I feel like in areas like Seaport, or there's high rises everywhere, but, like, I feel like it's harder to have, like, so you don't have the same feeling. I can't explain it, but And also I completely forgot that, yeah, you pay all of that stuff, so, like, the first month's, last month's security deposit and then the broker fee. You also pay a pet deposit, so if you have pets, you pay that on top, so that might be a
But you get
$100
that
pet.
back if they haven't damaged the property, right?
No, you have to pay sorry, it was not a pet deposit, it's a pet fee, so you pay it every month, so you pay $100 per pet.
Okay, so that's not something that if your pet damages it, you get that back.
You do not get that
Wow,
back.
okay.
So it might be a pet-friendly building, but you're paying a pet fee. Well, for us, we didn't have a US credit rating, so that's like a whole 'nother story. So when you move
Yeah,
to the US, you start from fresh. You have
yeah.
nothing. You can't even rent a car.
Same in Portugal. Like, if you move to
They don't trust you. So they're like, "Okay, you have to pay another month's deposit." So we had to pay, not only did we pay first month's, last month's, broker's fee, security deposit, we then had to pay another month's deposit to prove that we could afford, that,
yeah, okay.
to secure it, because we were really struggling. That's why when we first moved, we had to go to a managed building, because we were really struggling for landlords to trust you, because you
Mm.
haven't got a credit rating and they wanna see a credit rating.
You can understand that it's a risk for them. It's a bit different here. I think the issue they have in the Algarve is you don't have it's really hard to find annual rentals. So when we first moved, we moved straight into an Airbnb, which was higher price, of course, because Airbnb is higher price. We got given a rate, but as soon as it got to summer, it just shot up, which you'll find everywhere. We then found somewhere that was only a winter rental, which at first we thought was really, really cool. We're like, yeah, let's go, let's do that. And then every summer we'll travel. We'll go to a different country, or we'll travel around Portugal, whatever it might be. But literally moving out of your house, putting your stuff into a container, as you go through the years, you're like getting more stuff, aren't you? It just wasn't realistic because we had them planned, okay, we'll move out for the summer, we'll go back to the winter rental and do it again and kind of do that. But we quickly decided that was not going to be practical. We managed in the winter months, though, to get a house that was a three-bed house with a swimming pool, service swimming pool, um, that and a garden. It was in the suburbs, but it was a walk away from the beach for €1,700 a month. And then when it came to summer, I said to them, "Okay, I want to stay. What's the summer price?" It was 1,700 a week. Yeah, like it's insane. So then we were like, "Okay, we've got to go." I get a lot of people ask me as well, like, how do you find your annual rentals? Because then they're nowhere. Genuinely, it's a problem because everyone makes so much money on Airbnb and Booking.com. There's no point in if you're going to rent your house out.
To lock it
Yes, rent
in.
it for the winter, but in the summer you can make on a three bed like 20 to 30K in a month. It's about who you know. Like, I talk to everybody. I was chatting away at the kids' swim class. I was going to the coffee shop saying we're looking for an annual rental. Till finally someone was like, I'm moving out next month. Do you want to move into mine? And that was in like it was like a built up community complex.
Can you imagine like that, doing that? Can you actually imagine trying to ask strangers, like,
Yeah.
"Do you have a home for me to live in because I
Yeah,
can't rent
it was
anywhere?"
insane. I asked estate agents, they had nothing on their books because people do it privately, so you'd have to pay the estate agent fees. The last month that we were in that house, we were talking, we're gonna have to go back to England for the summer and then just figure out what we're gonna do to come back. It was, and you've got kids as well. So then you're like, I need to get back for September because I want them to go to school and feel settled and feel like we're in a home.
It's
It was
insane.
nerve-wracking, and I had other friends that had similar situations to me. One of them didn't find, so then they had to rent, like, a really small flat
Oh
that,
my
they've got 3 kids.
goodness.
It was yeah, like but we then went into a three-bed. It was like a townhouse, just but a nice little garden. It was on, like, a community, so there was a gym on site, a spa. It was, backing onto a golf course. We signed that for a year, but it was €2,100 a month, which really wasn't bad, but it was on the higher end of what, say, other properties are off of that complex. But I
I
really
think
liked
it's so
it.
well to point out, that, like we said at the beginning of this podcast, everything is relative, and so
Yeah,
when Abby's saying that cost, and obviously compared to my costing, I live in a big city. I mean, it's
yeah,
not, everyone's gonna be like, "It's not a big city," but it is a city, it's a proper city, and it's very expensive to live, and everybody
yeah,
knows that, and so you get paid accordingly, like.
exactly it. And I think as well, it's really important to mention that there's a huge problem in Portugal when it comes to the cost of living for the Portuguese. If you
Mm.
are working in Portugal and you're earning euros, minimum pay rate is like €4 an hour. So, and I guess I'm part of the problem in a way. Like I come in and I can afford, because I'm earning in pounds and then spending in euros, so I'm gaining the exchange rate fee, which a lot of people are. I've got friends that are earning in dollars. A majority of Portuguese people cannot afford the houses that we were lucky enough to rent.
I don't know if I can speak on whether that's happening here or not, but what I've heard happens here at the moment, especially like in Boston area, people that have lived here for years. In South Boston, there's like people that have grown up in South Boston and lived there, and they're getting kind of like, yeah, outpriced by people, young professionals that are moving into Boston because it's a desirable city to live in, and they're getting outpriced at their own where they grew up. That makes me so sad. Like that
Yeah,
makes me really sad because it's not immigrants, but it's people that are, I think a lot of it are people that are in the US already, like US citizens, the areas, and just kind of pushing out people.
yeah, yeah. And I think, I mean, here, because where we live is quite coastal, they're being pushed in. It's a similar thing. Like they've grown up here, but they're being pushed inland because
Mm.
inland is cheaper. But to be honest, that's also happening in the UK.
It happens
Like,
everywhere. That is just
yeah,
life,
like you
unfortunately.
can't afford to live in London anymore. You
No.
like for the price that I'm paying here, I'd live in a shoebox.
I'll be
It's
clear about this. I would not be able to afford to live in London now.
no.
Yes, on my US salary, yes, but if I moved back and had a UK salary, absolutely
Yeah,
not. And that's the
exactly.
point.
Exactly. And I think that's what it is, isn't it? It's like, yes, where you live, say, is more expensive, but your salary compensates for the cost of living that you're spending. We chose to live somewhere that we knew was cheaper, so our salaries can just be stretched that little bit further. Having 3 kids, we weren't expecting to have twins. We had one son, and then we got hit with two, and they're amazing. But children cost money. So for us to be able to give them the lifestyle that we really want to be able to offer them, we knew we had to move somewhere that was a cheaper place.
This will resonate with anyone that's listening in the UK. I mean, we know that we have you guys because we've seen that there are UK listeners, so we know. I think a lot of you will resonate and feel what we're saying. Your cost of living is going up so much and your salaries are not catching up to that, and that's why Abby's moving to Portugal and I'm moving to the US, and yes, but I think they are more in line with what the cost is. So the cost of living is going up, but your salary is definitely more in line, whereas in the UK I think they're really struggling with that right now.
Yeah, it is. It is a problem. We want to do comparisons, but we don't want people to think that we're bashing any side here. Like we just said, it's all relative, but we thought it would be a fun thing to do to horrify people either side, either at, wow, that's really expensive, or oh my God, that's really cheap, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
just
just to clarify, we know that Portugal's gonna be cheaper than Boston. We know.
we'll
We
start
know.
there.
I love living in Boston. I'll keep paying it.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like when you move anywhere, there are sacrifices that you make. Nowhere is a perfect place to live.
No.
You love Boston so much, but the winters can be long and get very, very cold. That's the thing that you
The winters are
sacrifice.
fun.
Like it is. It is. So go for eggs. You said I'd be horrified by the price of your eggs. So
Eggs.
over in Portugal, for a pack of 12 organic eggs, you're looking at about €4.59. That's on like that's not we do also have like a high price supermarket. So that's like your average supermarket.
So just to confirm, because I've just had a quick look, €4 is about $4.66. Ours is about, I mean, I paid the other day, I think I paid $9.
For a set of eggs.
It's
Wow.
expensive out here. I think there are certain things, just to
Do you have
clarify.
a lack of chickens? Is it
No,
that the chickens
no,
are
we're
sparse?
thriving, we're thriving, we're thriving with chickens.
With chickens, but yet you're charging for eggs because people are paying.
I think what I've noticed, there are some things in the US that are so much more expensive, and then there's some things that are so cheap, and you're like, "Why is it so much cheaper?" Like gas, for example.
Yes, that's true. Your gas.
I think this is just a personal opinion. That's things can kind of level themselves out because yeah, you might pay $9 for eggs. This is what I'm telling myself, trying to like make myself feel
You don't
better.
even own a car. So like,
I don't own
it's
a car,
literally
so I'm screwed.
but I don't own a car, but I would actually level out my egg
I
prices if
would,
I was actually paid for cows.
because I think they'd be shocked. Like, my car, what I used to spend on petrol actually makes me ill. Like in the
Cars,
UK,
yeah, and the UK is expensive. On to bread. What are you paying for bread? In Portugal, we pay for just like a normal pack of bread with crust, white bread, white loaf, about €1.49. 150. And that's one that's branded and packed. So we in our grocery stores, and I know you do have it there, we have like bakery sections with fresh bread that you can buy. They're even cheaper. They're like 90 cents.
I forgot that we didn't actually we didn't say about the UK's prices, which I think is quite interesting too.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So go for eggs then in the UK.
So eggs, I think eggs are around £2.50. I don't think that's an organic.
No. And is that a pack of 12? That's a six pack, isn't it?
So 10 pack is £5.10.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's about
you're
right.
looking at going back to bread. So Tesco, the lovely Tesco, if you grab yourself a nice Warburton loaf, which we know and
So
love. We know and love that thick white toasty bread.
you
You're
can't beat
looking at 99p.
for a Warburton loaf.
That's a bloody good price.
That's actually better than the bread I found, which was like Continente's own. In the States, you're looking in
I mean, you're not being
Massachusetts.
I'm screwed. Are you ready for it? Wait for it. I buy a like sourdough loaf from Whole Foods. I don't think that's like no, we're not comparing it to that. So if I'm doing like a Warburton level, you can get like Dave's bread. It's called Dave's bread, and that's like $7.
For bread.
You got to be remember in the US with the bread. I don't really eat a lot of bread in the US because I don't like the ingredients in it. I'm going to be honest. I struggle with what you're putting in the bread here. If I'm going to, so Dave's is one that hasn't got what I consider to be ingredients that I don't think should be in bread. But if you were going to go for like a really like just white bread from Walmart that's got whatever ingredients, you can get it for like $1.50.
You can get cheap
You
enough bread.
can get it,
Mm.
but like I personally just wouldn't go for that bread. But if you did need bread, you can get it for $1.50. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, which I don't think is too bad considering it's how it
When
works.
it
It's how
comes
it
to
is.
nutrition, you are gonna end up getting because that's what people, lots of people can only afford that bread because
It's
you
cheaper to
outprice
get a
them.
McDonald's over a sweet green salad. So you're going to go to the McDonald's.
Yeah.
That's in every country, like you said.
Female women's sanitary products and beauty products, it said.
Yeah. So I obviously you can get cheaper ones. I don't know, Walgreens owned for like $2.29 or something. Like you
What
could
are these,
get
bath ones or what?
deodorant,
Sanitary?
sorry,
You're
deodorant.
talking deodorant. Okay, yeah.
The specific deodorant that I like that doesn't make me smell, just being real. If you throw off your own pH levels too much, you're going to start smelling like BO. I'm just putting that out there. Mine actually cost, I think, like $10 something.
I do. Right.
It's in the double
So,
digits.
yeah, for a deodorant. Yeah, that's like a every 2 weeks buying a $10 deodorant.
Yeah. So by the way, Ollie and I got like did made a life hack, and there's this Thai deodorant that you can get on Amazon, and it's really cheap and it's scentless and it stops you smelling. So when I don't, want to put my nice deodorant on, I use this like Thai roll-on deodorant that's really cheap and clean ingredients.
The one that's 10 is the clean ingredient one as well, or no? It's just
It
like a
is a clean
Nivea.
ingredient. It is in clean ingredient. Just because like I said, like if you're sensitive to pH level, the deodorant actually isn't going to be good for you. And
It's
like
gonna help.
Ollie specifically is very sensitive to the pH level. He won't mind me disclosing that. And he
Yeah.
can't even use like shower gels that are really scented or anything like that. And I'm sure there's many people out there that are the same. So you can't go and buy the $2 because it's going to make you smell.
Deodorants here are 2.99 for your standard Dove deodorant. I try to use the, like, eco-friendly one. They last forever,
Yeah.
like, forever, the roll-on eco-friendly one. But that's like €5 or £5 if I get it from the UK.
But you can get in the UK, you can get like, that soft and gentle, like the spray ones. You can get that for like £1.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, but
really
then the
cheap.
stuff in it is not good, and also, you shouldn't really be spraying anymore.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. No shame on you if you do spray. Do
I'm
your
asthmatic, so spraying also isn't good for me.
How much do your, like, lady insert?
Sanitary products, so, like, tampons, like a pack of 16, Tampax, like the brand, the green brand, which I've stopped using actually because there's loads of plastics in them, is €3.19 for a pack of 16.
Really?
What are you spending?
So the Tampax, again, I don't use Tampax just like Abby. They're $8 from Walgreens, a pack of the same.
The $8.
$8. And then for me to get my honey, they're called honey pot. If anyone wants to know, they're called honey pot, and they are $9.49 from Target, but you can get like 100% grown cotton, organic tampon.
Okay, so it's still like a tampon, it's not like a cup or anything like
Still a
that.
tampon. Still a
Yeah.
tampon, yeah, yeah. So you're paying an extra, like, $2. No one should have to pay, like, nearly $8 when with things that we can't help, like, we can't help that we're having this issue. Like, they should not be that expensive.
I think that about every country. How are they not
Mm,
supplying women's sanitary products
I know.
when it's just like a necessity, even if, even if it's a pad or it's like earlier that was really interesting is coffee.
Mm.
We go to a really cool place in the Algarve called Everyday People. I'm plugging it because friend who owns it and it's also really cool. It's a specialty coffee that she orders in. So it's like one of the top range of places to go for coffee. And we really like it. We pay for a flat white and the prices have just gone up. €3 for our flat white, which is just like a milk coffee.
A Cafe Nero, which is, like, obviously a chain coffee you've obviously got Dunkin'. So that's why I was gonna tell you about Cafe Nero because we have Cafe Nero in the UK, whereas we don't have Dunkin' in the UK. So Cafe Nero, I think you're paying, like, $6.45 for a coffee, for a latte, and you can get, like, the syrups and stuff, which they're gonna add, like, 75 cents for a syrup and 75 cents
Yeah.
for
We don't
almond milk.
That's the other thing here is that you don't have any syrups really. You
Mm,
might get vanilla syrup. I think that's the thing in Europe as well, is like they really appreciate good coffee. Like that's a
mm.
speciality that, Europeans like a good espresso and just have like a
Yeah, obviously there's a massive coffee culture in the US. They love coffee, and I think they do appreciate good coffee, but they also like optionality. Feel like they love the options to have all these different flavored coffees, and like
yeah.
there's a lot of that going on. I've just been in upstate New York and I went to a really beautiful coffee shop. It was so nice. And we got special coffees. Like it wasn't just like a flat white, it was a latte and it had special flavor. And it was a very, very nice coffee. And the whole thing, because I wanted to tip them as well, the whole thing cost me like $22, two coffees, one for me and one for Ollie. I know, but it was really good.
You don't even like coffee, so I'm surprised you spent
I
that.
do now.
You like
But I
coffee?
don't like it to taste too like coffee. I like it to taste like, you know,
22 is outrageous, I don't. But when I came over, I went to what is that one near you? The
blue
blue
bottle.
blue bottle. You do just spend it because you're used to having your coffees in the mornings. It is a lot more expensive to live.
But so's everything going out to eat. I think that was one thing that really shocked Ollie and I, along with groceries. "Oh my god, Ollie, can you see how much this is? Did you see how much this is?"
Yes.
Definitely, like, going to eat, just Ollie and I going to have dinner is just such an expensive ordeal.
Mm.
The kinda cost of the dinners that we were spending, I think if I was spending that in the UK, I would be freaking out. I would be like, "There's no way I can
So,
afford this."
like, compare. So, if you went to like an Italian restaurant in, let's say, London, a dinner for two in an Italian restaurant in London versus a dinner for two.
I don't even know. I didn't really spend a lot of time in London. I wouldn't be able to do that.
That's very true.
I wouldn't be able to fairly do that. I will tell you the price of it because, everyone in Boston will know. But like, just going out to dinner like at an Italian restaurant here, I mean, we easily just Ollie and I, we could easily spend like $130.
Wow.
It's just two people.
I'm like, "Well, what? Why doesn't
It's
spend money?
easy. It's
He can help."
easily done. We're not even lavish. We're not even going crazy on it. We're not even getting
No.
dessert. Really expensive.
I mean, it's so funny because we went to what restaurant did we go to? It was like a top restaurant. I think it was like Michelin star at one point restaurant here. And we paid 170, was it? He nearly fell off his chair. Couldn't handle
He
that.
won't be able to deal with it in America, honestly, because it's just
No.
constant.
Difficulty with that as well is there's 5 of us. Like if we came to the US and ate. But I don't remember thinking it was horrific when we came over to you.
One meal between them. Do you not remember? Imagine them all
Yeah.
having a meal.
But I have to say, actually, on another side, the US portion sizes
It's so
are
good.
really generous,
Yeah.
whereas the UK portion, or even Portugal portion sizes is minimal.
But this is not a culture in the UK, but definitely in the US, like, you get your food, and if you're not gonna finish it, you take it home and you have it the next day, so that's 2
Mm.
meals. So you may have paid 130, but you normally have something to take home.
Yeah, it's like $35 a meal then because But Mike always takes home. He said in the US, I would order maybe 1, maybe 2 dishes for my 3 kids, and they would share, and that would actually be enough. Now that they're getting older, I can't really do that. They kind of need their own because the portion sizes just aren't as generous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they're
I guess.
boys, they're probably hungry.
I think the only other cost that I found that, you wouldn't have found in Boston is the cost for us of schooling
Mm.
in comparison has been significantly different over here. So we weren't going to send our kids to private school here, but we had in the UK. But when we came over and saw the pricing, it was like what we could get for one kid in a private school in the UK, we could send all 3 for the same price in one of the better
I
private
think
schools, I think.
that proves kind of cost of living, what you've been saying, like, it's obviously
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
better.
But is there anything else that we want to talk about in terms of hidden cost? I tell you something that we had too was buying a car is so much more expensive in Portugal than it is the UK. They tax the cars so, so, so heavily. So we had a nice car in the UK. I think we had a BMW when we left, and we could just about scrape together to get a Renault Scenic. Because again, we had a similar situation to do that where you have no credit, so we couldn't get finance. So we couldn't put a deposit down and then pay it monthly. We had to pay outright for a car. That was another cost that I wasn't expecting to be so high in comparison to the UK.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think the credit rating, like, expands to everything, like, we couldn't even get a new phone contract. Yeah, I guess, like, to wrap up, moving is very expensive, do not expect it to be cheap, whatever you think it's gonna be a lot more than that. Initial rental costs are huge for me, um, and groceries, toiletries are pricier than expected for me, but I guess, like, for you, you're having a Abby's basically just having, like, a complete opposite experience to me except for the car.
They weren't as high as the US, but there were still costs. So it is always important to have a buffer, like what you budget plus a little buffer, because you're going to need, we didn't expect to come over, have 0 credit rating and have to put straight out to buy a car outright. We thought that was going to be our deposit for it because we thought our credit rating in the UK. So there's just certain things like that that,
Yeah.
can take you by surprise. And then you're having to use all of that money to and in Portugal and in the UK, you still have to put a security deposit. If you're renting, you still have to put a security deposit down. You still have to. Uh, the other thing actually to mention is when we purchased a house here versus the UK, was the taxes here. They call it IVA, but its stamp duty is higher. So your initial tax is a lot higher than what you're paying in the UK. So it is actually more expensive to purchase a house here, but you get a lot more for your money
Mm.
in comparison. So that was, I guess, another surprise.
More surprises as my life goes on here because I just rent. I haven't bought a house. I have no idea. Each state's different with like their housing and like the taxes and everything. I have no idea what it would all be like. I'm sure that's going to be a massive surprise at the time.
Yeah. Because I even feel like in the UK when we first bought our house, we weren't taught
No,
about these, and it was like, oh, okay, so you have to pay that person and then stamp duty and then
it was just our dad. But like, our dad was just like, "This is the reality of buying a house. It's not just
no,
this." But I guess
like
like you wouldn't be taught about the states in the UK anyway. So I've got to learn it. I've got to learn it.
yes,
Just be prepared for those hidden costs, that's all we
for
say, but,
sure.
um, it's all worth it, by the way. All of this is worth it. I would do it a million times over.
It's like when you pick up and move your whole life to a completely different country, regardless of whatever your situation might be, that's always going to have costs, isn't it? And
Yeah. You take the risk and you take the cost and you hope that it works out and that you like it because it's such a
yeah,
big decision. But we would love to hear from anyone who has moved and what surprised you most about the cost
please.
or if you're thinking about moving.
We have a episode come out every Tuesday. We are on TikTok. We are on Facebook, Instagram. So please communicate and reach out to us as much as you can with anything that you want us to talk about, or yeah, like hearing your experiences and anything that you would like to share would be amazing. Our next episode is really exciting because we're going to have the husbands on,
Yeah.
give them an opportunity to have their say, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna be quiet for once, and we're gonna
Will we
interview
though?
style. Yeah, we're gonna interview style them, we're gonna let them
Yeah.
have their say about everything, and it'll be a really interesting podcast because they're gonna tell you all and us even things that we haven't even heard of about.
Cons about me.
Yeah, but yeah, so tune in and that's it really. That we'll stop rambling for the day.
Bye.